feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag and I'm useless, but not for long. The future.
Denver Broncos Mile High View. No commercials, no bullshit. This video is titled The Death of Football. And since we are in a off-season mode, I am going to talk about my first non-Bronco topic. Excuse me. The reason I decided to do Death of Football is I talked to an old-time coach, that I knew just recently. And that's what he said. He says, we're seeing the death of football. Now, he coached offensive line back in, for high school teams. And been doing it for a number of years. And he said that the numbers across the country, not just in where he's, now he's basically consulting coaches. He's an older guy. But, he does know his stuff. And we got into why offensive lines, are so bad these days, too. It kind of segued into that. But what I'm going to discuss here is what he said as the death of football. And he said that, because of the concussion situation, that the numbers are nowhere near where they used to be, and they're declining all the time. And he was saying, man, if this keeps going, you're not going to have any kind of quality, because when you had a time where you had so many kids involved in football, it really helped generate great players from all over the country. But I want to discuss something with this as well that he didn't bring up, and that was football always was a hard sell to high school kids, because if you looked at baseball and you looked at basketball and you looked at the number of games that you would be able to play, well, it was a no-brainer, because it's like, football, you got to, during all this time, I got to go to practice, then go to practice, and then go to practice and meetings and conditioning, and it's like it's like dance, which in a sense it is. People in dance, they do a lot of rehearsals and practices. It's basically the same thing. And then you get those once in a while shows they put on. So, kids was like, football, I'd just rather go. I want to be able to, play games. So back as a freshman, going back to high school, as a freshman, I had brought up and was lobbying hard my coaches to lobby the county, a large county with a lot of schools, to have a scrimmage league during the summer, during baseball season, soccer during spring, and the end of school year, leading into your workouts, getting ready for the season, the school season. And the scrimmage league, I argued, was you'd actually be playing a lot of games. You'd have a lot of games under your belt, and they didn't have to be contact. The scrimmages did not have to be contact. But what that would allow for players, and you'd probably be on mixed teams, mixed with other schools. You have a scrimmage schedule, and it didn't matter. You weren't playing for state. So, but you'd be able to get a lot of games under your belt. Coaches could learn how to improvise. Players could learn how to improvise. Coach on the fly, ad lib out on the field if you're a player. There's a lot of pluses to having actual scrimmages. If you're playing all the time, you get an accelerated course into things that you don't normally get to do with practice. Practice is practice, but you can take what you got from these scrimmages into your practice. So anyway, I did get some. There was positive feedback, but nobody ever, obviously because it was years ago, nobody ever took it serious, and they should have. You could get the football coaches involved with that, all of them across all the high school football coaches. And you get to work with different coaches too. That would be a good experience. And with what they could do is that for offense you script the play. So you bring during the huddle you bring in a play card and everybody looks at their assignment quickly, and then you go from there. And it's shooting from the hip. It's really good stuff, and you're playing games. You're actually playing games, and no, not that they're games that matter, but you're playing a game. I mean, when you're playing football, you want to play. You want to be playing football. You don't want to be just practicing. And there's plenty of time for practice during the regular season. And we're talking the death of football again, and it all starts at the high school level, and that's why I'm just bringing this up. Football, just that this is the time of year it would be great for scrimmages. But going back now, parents don't want to put their kids in football because of the whole injury bug. And it's interesting that parents have always thought about, you always think about your kid getting hurt. Now every parent does, whether it's they're playing a sport or walking down the street. That's how you are. But as a kid, that's the last, it's there's a possibility, but you don't. If you're entertaining the thought, why would you be doing it anyway? You're young. You're figuring you're not going to get injured, because you're young. You're not likely to get. I never thought about it. Never thought about it until you come to until you get real close to it, a real injury. Then you start thinking about it, but. When you get back involved, and back in the day, nobody, players, in the NFL have to think about injury because they're under contract, and it's a job. That's what made high school and college football so great, is that, at least back in those days, there wasn't, it wasn't a job. It was, you were playing it because you enjoy playing, but. So I don't know what you may think is it's getting thin. Maybe in the southern states it's not as thin as it is elsewhere, football participation. But like I said, football always had the competition to begin with the other sports, because it's a tough sell. If you have to really love football to have to go and participate in all these practices and these once in a while games. How many games you get during high school football, when you compare baseball and basketball, it's not even close. So it was a tough sell to begin. And if kids and parents are, if the kids are already thinking the injury too, and they're moving away from football, it could affect football. The product could start to slip. And I figure, all sports has a shelf life, anyway, maybe 100, 200 years. I doubt people are going to be watching baseball and football or anything. And, who knows what will be, the next entertainment. But anyway, the death of football, the lack of participation at the high school level is starting to drain on the college, and which will end up draining on the pro system. The lack of having the numbers there producing quality players, I think, it could definitely, I think the coach was right, it could affect the NFL.